بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. We will continue our discussion in Surah Al-Baqara. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Last week we were discussing the first historical event, the creation of Adam alayhi salam. I'm talking in terms of the human history. And we were trying really like to understand the human project through the understanding of this very important really event. And this is why you see it repeated in Quran in different ways, in different forms, in different chapters, in order really like to respond to certain aspects. Remember that Surah Al-Baqara is revealed or was revealed in Medina at the time when the new community, the new society was being formed. And it's very important to put now the narrative of that story in perspective. Okay, what are really where is the emphasis? And in fact, it is unique. In the way the story is narrated in Surah Al-Baqarah, we see the emphasis on, as we said last time, very interesting things that we will see their relationship to the formation, if you like, and the project and the vision of this new society. Otherwise, it will be a repetition, and we will lose sight why the story again is being introduced to us. So unless we start digging and looking at things that will make a connection with the new dynamics, if you like, of this new society, as if now a new era has started, and this new era requires a new understanding, new tools, new skills in order really like to do the job. I cannot ask you to do a certain job unless I provide you with the right skills and the right tools. This is why we go through training. Is that right? And then we become capable of doing that really job. And here we see our last time we start to see that this is the first time Quran is not saying to the angels that I am creating a human being, but there is a very important qualifier, which he is calling this human being Khalifa. You don't see that in the other stories, in the other places where the story of Adam, or the creation of Adam and his mate, was basically introduced. Okay, so this is really important for us because Khalifa is very loaded term. Okay, and one of the meanings that we were discussing last time is really it carries the connotation of succession. Remember last time we were talking about the monarch butterfly, how it really has to cover a very long distance, more than 3,000 miles, but it's not really one butterfly that does that, but really they do it in generations. Okay, so that at each generation will cover a certain distance and giving the baton to the next generation to go to cover another distance until they reach somewhere in Mexico down south, and will be their really destination. So it is clear where they are going, but they know that they cannot do it alone. And the human project is like this. The human project requires generations. And this is at time. And the term that Quran uses in this verse is إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. جَاعِل from جَعَلَ. Always when you see this verb in Quran, okay, there is an element of time. It's not something that is happening like one event. Okay, خَلَقَ could be one event. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created heaven and earth. They were not there and now they are there. Okay, but جَعَلَ, there is, we need to introduce the element or the factor of time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I am putting on this earth a Khalifa, a trustee, but that Khalifa will really execute and fulfill the human project through time. Okay? And Khalifa, we said, it has this meaning of succession. Okay? Khalafa, to come after. Okay? And so we see generations succeeding previous generations. We see individuals succeeding, like as a son, I succeeded my father succeeded my grandfather, so on and so forth. So this is the succession that I am talking about. But I want also to talk about the succession at the individual level. At the individual, you as Khalifa, every one of us as Khalifa, okay? Yes, you have no question succeeded somebody who came before you, but I am also introducing before you another meaning of succession, how you do this succession within yourself. One self succeeding another self. So you are saying, I am not happy with my state today. I want to move into another state that will succeed the one before it. You see, the idea of Khalifa can be applied internally in every one of us as an incentive to continue moving from one state to another. As we have said before, from the state of being to a state of becoming. Now, and here I like to also to discuss briefly the idea of existence and essence. The existentialists, their guru is Jean-Paul Sartre and Camus and all these people, okay, they introduced the idea that existence precedes essence. In other words, that we came to this life, this is our existence, and then we define our essence. So they say the existence precedes the essence. Okay? Now, if you remember, last year we discussed very important chapter entitled Ash-Shams, Surah Ash-Shams. And we said, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا ضَحَاهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing, giving an oath by 6 important creations. Sun, the sun, the moon, the heaven, the earth, the day, the night. But all of them, you will see the article that, al, والشمس والقمر والنهار والليل والسماء والأرض. All of them, what is the significance of this article that in English? We have an expert here. Why do we use that?
To address a particular thing.
To define. To define. So I am saying the poet, I am really talking about a particular individual. Is that right? When I say a poet, any poet. Is that right? Here, Quran is saying, he is telling us that all these creatures have been defined at the time of their creation, not after their creation. They were created to do a certain job, to fulfill a certain objective. From the beginning, they were defined what to do. Okay? The following verse talks about the human being. Quran will not use the term that, and will say وَنَفْسٍ, will not say وَالنَّفْسِ. And the human, and by a human soul. What does that tell you? There is a big difference now between the human being who is created like the others, but the definition was left to every one of us to put. So we came to existence, but then we were asked to define ourselves because we were given choice. If I am not given the choice or the ability to choose and the will to choose, how come I will be asked to define myself? Is that right? Because this is while the sun, the moon, the day, night, the heaven and earth, they were not given a choice. This is your job. This is your mission. This is your objective. Has been defined for you from the beginning. But the human being is different. So our existence precedes our ability to define. Each one of us over time will define himself and herself and will write. Each one of us is going to write his or her history. Is that right? Otherwise, why we will be judged? If we were not given that ability to define ourselves, why we will be judged? The difference between the Quranic view of the human being and, we said, the existentialist, okay, there is some interaction that both of us believe that the existence precedes the essence. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being, He gave him a state to aspire to. Yes, you have the ability to define yourself, but I am putting for you a goal that I want you to go in that direction. I like you to be Khalifa, with all the meaning of Khalifa that we have been trying really to explore. Okay? But I want you to start thinking about Khalifa inside you. How each self succeeds another. And sometimes you see in Quran is saying to the people at one time in history, children of Israel, اقتلوا أنفسكم. Kill yourself. Do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask somebody by an order to commit suicide? إن الله لا يأمر بالفحشاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not enjoin anything bad. Is that right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لا يأمر بالفحشاء. Then we have to ask ourselves, what is then the meaning of اقتلوا أنفسكم? Kill yourself means kill that self that is suppressed. Kill that self that is inflicting oppression on others. Kill that self that is coward. Kill that self. Move into another state. From, again, as we said, from a state of being into a state of becoming. And this is a very beautiful meaning of Khalifa when you apply it to yourself as an individual. Before, under the same way you understand your job or your mission as somebody who succeeds somebody else. First of all, don't allow anybody to define you. It is your job. It is your prerogative and the privilege to define yourself. You have to present your image, not let anybody else to define you. This is one very important thing. The second, when you understand Khalifa as somebody who succeeds somebody else, now it means that you are living a different time from the one before you. An era has ended and a new era has started. You have to think about your time, okay? And I love what Jefferson said, that the earth belongs to the living. Not to the dead. Those who came before us, they did their job. They did their service. Is that right? Now the earth belongs to us, the living, until we leave and depart this life. Is that right? So the earth really belongs to the living. Definitely Quran will go beyond that to say that the earth belongs really to the righteous living. To the righteous living. أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون. This is where we have to aspire. Yes, it belongs to the living, but what type of living? What direction I want to give to the living? The same way we were saying existence precedes our essence, but what type of essence you want? I need a reference that tells me what is the best for me. And Allah told me from the beginning that He is creating a trustee on this earth. So I have to act as Khalifa or work towards building myself to become Khalifa again over time. Which means that every state you reach, you say, I am not satisfied. I have to move to the one that is higher. And really, the same people that we were talking about, the existentialists, one of the best quotes that I like from Sartre, when he said, he addressed the human being. He said, you are not an object. You are not a subject. You are a perpetual project. You like it? You are a perpetual project. Don't be static. But again, without reference, I don't know where I am going. I need someone above me, independent of me, not like me, another human being. I want someone beyond me to tell me what is the best for me. The one who will know me best, the one who created me. إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I am creating this new living creature called man. And later we will see that insan, zawj, Adam, The word Adam itself, I believe that it belongs to both man and woman. Because the word Adam, there is a verb in Arabic, we use it, Adama, yu'dam, which means a verb that comes from two people. Once the Prophet, peace be upon him, somebody asked him, can I look at my fiancée? The face of my fiancée? It's not like the way I look at your faces. It is different from you look at the face of your future wife. And the Prophet says, yes, you can. And he gave him the reasoning. He said, عَسَى أَن يُؤْدَمَ بَيْنَكُمَا. يُؤْدَم means so that love will grow between you, confidence will grow between both of you, trust will grow between you. So Adam is a term, the same way when we say insan, it is ins and ins. Together they make insan. Like we say kitab, book, two books, kitaban. Ins, human. Ins, human. Two ins, male and female, together will make insan. Zawj, which means pair, spouse, it applies to both in Arabic. In the Quranic Arabic, it belongs to both. When you read zawj in Quran or azwajukum, it is referring to both man and woman. So even the language introduced from the beginning the equality between genders.
But that's never been proposed that way.
Because nobody wants, unfortunately. Everything the prophets, peace be upon him, achieved, we start regressing from there. Instead of continuing the process, we start going back, regressing to the old paradigm. And women, unfortunately, were looked at as inferior. And even the story itself. Do you see in Quran, in any place in Quran, saying that the woman was taken from the rib of the man? So,
How did
leave
it
it
come about?
alone.
How did that come about?
Borrowing
From Bible?
from even the Bible. I read it from a book written by a pastor, that even in the Bible there are two versions. In the same Bible there are two versions. One is really like they were created at the same time, and one taken from the rib, that the woman was taken from the rib of the man. And unfortunately everybody clings to that first version and leave the other one, which makes more sense. You see what I mean? So what is the idea? The idea is to show from the beginning and to support it by religion, instead of re-ask the question and do more digging and exploration, and you see then the message will become incoherent. On one hand, they tell you, وَالْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ وَالْقَانِتِينَ وَالْقَانِتَاتِ وَالصَّابِرِينَ وَالصَّابِرَاتِ وَالْخَاشِعِينَ وَالْخَاشِعَاتِ وَالْمُتَصَدِّقِينَ and then you tell me that one is different from the other? Yes, the difference is needed for life, but not unequal. Different but equal. And the difference is needed for life. Without the difference, there will be no life. So you start to see the importance of difference in this life, the importance of diversity. Without diversity, there is no life. There is no progress. So Khalifa again, okay, is the mission. Is what gives you this perpetual project. Perpetual, not static. Make sense to you? So let us really talk about this important connotation of the word Khalifa, starting from the human being himself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I am not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that verse is not talking about the Khalifa in the political sense later on. But we said last time that even that political position, the Caliph, was really taken from this term because they understand the mission of the leader to be a true Khalifa, to mobilize the people. If that Khalifa is not behaving like true Khalifa, what does it mean then if you call that Khalifa or Emperor or it doesn't make any sense. It just becomes really a label but without any essence. So we need the essence of Khalifa. And the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, were very smart because all these terms, all these labels were available to them. They heard about Al-Najashi, they heard about the emperor in Rome, they heard about the kings here and there, okay? But they did not choose any of these to call their leader. They chose something that is connected with the mission of connected with the human project. If I am is asked to behave as Khalifa, the leader should be the first to behave as Khalifa. Himself or herself moving from one state to another, mobilizing the people to do the same.
But since Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu death, have you seen any Khalifas apart from the four main
Unfortunately
people?
not.
Not a single.
Probably the only one after the four caliphs is Umar bin Abdul Aziz. He behaved, but unfortunately his term was very short, like 2 years. And he was killed. No question, killed by the people who don't want this new paradigm to continue. You see what I mean? So it's a huge struggle.
So my thinking is, if this idea finished within 2 generations, then how can we bring it on now after 2,000? I don't know, 8,000 years or so have
And
passed?
this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically answered the angels, because the angels asked in a way similar question. And he said, Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. I know what you know not. In other words, we have to ask ourselves, how should we do it?
Right.
Because even from the question of the angels, you can, as we said last time, you can infer what is the human project. Because they were asking, how come you put someone on this earth to spread mischief and bloodshed? What is really now, is the biggest obstacle? All these clashes and conflicts and wars that stop and are hindrances to the human progress.
And even with those four Khalifas, there wasn't any smooth sailing, there was so much dispute.
No question, it's not.
And
Nobody is saying that it is going to be an easy sale, okay? But the question is the project clear? Is the vision clear? What type of a human being we want? What type of a society we want? And just to say one more thing, again, connect this with how the surah started. The surah started by talking about al-muttaqeen. And we said al-muttaqeen is the class in the society, is this layer in society that is responsible to protect the society from its ills. However, it is in the form of kufr, which is going to the extreme in denying and covering up the truth, or nifaq, this underground movement that will destroy the society from within, to protect again the society from bloodshed and spreading the mischief and corruption. The Quran in the same surah called fusuq, fasiqeen. Okay, this is their job, is to spread fasad, to spread mischief and corruption on earth. So the mission of the Khalifa, part of the project of the Khalifa, as an individual, as a generation, as a leader or leadership, that should be part of their agenda. But unfortunately, the agenda is the opposite, how to create a new wars. And instead of working to make wars impossible, we are making them possible, unfortunately. I mean, it may sound ideal, and it is ideal and noble, but we need to work. If without that vision, the lack of that vision is responsible why we don't see any action or any activity done in that direction. How come you do something in that direction and that vision and that destination is not there? It's not on the radar. How to bring people together, unite them, should be also, because this is the opposite of the clashes and the bloodshed. Is that right? Who is talking about unity? Even among Muslims. Have you seen any publications recently talking about the importance of this? Nobody is talking about it, and nobody has a clear vision how to do it.
I think it's all stemming from injustice.
No question.
You're not just in a society, I don't think anything can be accomplished.
This is where we were saying all over that unless, what does it mean to believe in Allah? To believe in His perpetually beautiful names and attributes. And the more we realize them in our life, we are getting closer to Him. If you pray a million times, okay, and that prayer did not help you to spread justice, Quran is saying this prayer will lead you to hellfire. You remember from the first few surahs revealed, Quran is saying, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. There is no book that tells you that if you pray, there is a chance that you may go to hellfire. Where? When? What condition? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who pray, but they are heedless of the meaning of the prayer. You see? So we are living a life of disconnection, disarticulation. You know, when you disarticulate a limb, take it from the joint, okay? We live this life of disarticulation. Our actions have nothing to do with the meaning or with the direction that we are giving that action. The action became end by itself. Pray, fast, pay in charity, but nobody understands why we are doing these things. It's like when you ask a medical student, what do you do with this? Because if he understands things in a mechanical way, give this. Without understanding really the whole context. Because even give penicillin. If that patient is allergic to penicillin, penicillin will kill them. Has the potential, the same drug that may cure one may kill another, unless you know the context, where and when and in whom you are really practicing and applying that action. You see how important to know the direction of your action? Otherwise you may kill without knowing it. Khalifa, and then we saw the power of the question. Don't allow anybody to stifle your question or the ability to ask questions, because the angels ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we were given this huge gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ask Him. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. If my worshippers ask you about me, tell them that I am very close to them. Let them ask me. Every prayer is a question, and every question is a prayer. Doctor, but when you go to the operating room and you are operating on your patient, you are asking, how many questions you are asking? You are praying. Whether people accept it or not, you are praying. But a different mode of a prayer. What is a prayer? When you make dua, it is a question. And you need an answer. And I will tell you that every time you read Quran, you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala questions. The same way the angels asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the creation of the human being. What does it mean when I read Quran? What does it really mean? If I'm just reading for the sake of reading, doesn't benefit me at all. But if I read with a question in mind, I will see the answer, or I dig for the answer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us, if you come to Quran with a question, if you come to Him with a question, He will answer you. The same way He promised us to respond to our prayer. Imam Ali radiallahu anh used to say, listen to this very beautiful. Istantiqul Quran. If I want to translate this word literally to English, it will be interrogate. You know what is interrogation? What do you do in interrogation? You are questioning someone. Imam Ali is saying, interrogate Quran. The same way you interrogate the universe. Wallahi, the physicists today, they talk about their approach to the universe in order to understand its laws and its movement. They say, interrogate. You have to ask the universe a question. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that the universe has been under order to respond to your question, provided that you ask the right question. Continue refining your question until it becomes answerable one. This is what we teach our students, is that right? We give them the skill of asking the question. Every research starts with what? With a question that we refine it until it becomes a hypothesis and we want to prove it or disapprove it. Is that right? And have you seen someone saying, my question is right and the universe is wrong because he did not get the right results? What do they say? Let me repeat. Let me ask a different question. Let me refine my question. Let me ask it in a different way. Sometimes people do do a lot of research and collect lot of data, and it is in the literature. But then you come, you have not collected the data. But you come and say, let me ask a different question, and use the same data to answer that question. So the possibilities are unlimited. But we need to teach our kids to continue asking questions, refine their questions, and work with them, help them to answer these questions. Instead of telling them, this is a difficult question, I will not answer you, or let us come together. I don't know, but let us go to someone who may know. Let us go to the internet. Let us go. Yes, do that. Then you have given them a tool, okay, a skill, so that they become interested in finding the answer themselves. And this life is the time to ask questions. The moment we die, or this universe dies, and we go into a different life, no questions. There will be no place for questions, because everything is clear. In the hereafter, the truth will become manifest, so there is no need to ask questions. Remember what we learned last year from Surah Al-Naba. عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. It's a question. And the good news is that the people started asking questions. Quran is congratulating them that now you are entering a new era. You are capable of asking the big questions. And Quran answered their question by asking more questions. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلِ الْأَرْضَ بِهَذَا وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا All of these verses are in the form of a question. And then another paragraph talks about when this life ends and we go into a bigger life. There is no question. Everything is an affirmative statement. إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا. There is no more questions. No more questions, because this is a different era, a different life. This is the life of the question. Don't allow it pass without asking the important questions and dig to find. Yes, brother.
Well, the question is after here, Allah is going to ask the question.
We will be asked, yes.
We're not going to ask.
Yes.
He's going to ask.
وَقِفُوهُمْ إِنَّهُمْ مَسْئُولُونَ.
Yeah.
In that day, we will be asked what we have done. Okay? But in this life, we still have the capacity to ask questions, including asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we have revelation from Him. And He is telling us that this revelation, its answers are unlimited. قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي. My dear brothers and sisters, and this is very good for the students, and all of us are still students, okay? Don't be offended, okay? Language is today looked at made of two sides. The signifier and the signified. The signifier are the words, and you can analyze these words, divide them into syllables, phenoms, you know all that stuff, okay? You can atomize it if you like. But the signified is the meaning, and every meaning is an idea, and you cannot go below the idea. Because every time you try to understand an idea, or translate it, or interpret it, it is another idea. But you cannot go below that. So when we look at Quran, if I want really to count its signifiers, its words, word by word, I can't count them. They are finite. But when it comes to these words as signified, as meanings, as ideas, infinite. Infinite. And this is the meaning of the verse. If you bring, the verse is saying, if you bring the whole ocean and make out of it ink to write the words as signified of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ink will dry up and the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not really appear. Even if you bring another ocean, additional supply, again it will not really appear. So what does that tell us? Doesn't tell us that we need to read Quran differently at different times and by different generations? Doesn't that tell us that we need to dig deeper in order to get more answers and more solutions? And you will not get that until you ask a different question. A question at a higher level of understanding. The more you elevate your question, you get more answers. Yes?
My concern is here, or my question. For Islamic history, Islamic literature, do we have Arabic literature or Arabic language literature that shows us the evolution of our society in Quranic perspectives, the way we have with the Western philosophy? So do you think, brother, professors or scholars at the Islamic universities are doing this kind of research, interrogation, more research, or are we static in terms of just understanding the Quran and
It is the unfortunate, exactly, the unfortunate thing is this is, we entered as a society through history, probably 500 years ago, okay, around that time, we entered a state of stasis, a static state, thinking that what we have achieved is the maximum we can reach. And we have all the answers to all questions. And definitely that was definitely wrong. And we stopped thinking, stopped critical thinking. You see? And really like to look at the new challenges.
new
And the
paradigms,
creating, exactly.
doing some publications,
No question.
research, and so maybe we are more concerned with our Western philosophy and Western scholars.
Yeah.
So maybe Islamic countries or Islamic universities or Arabic scholars are doing research along these lines. Maybe we are not.
I think to answer your question, I will say it is our responsibility to really create an environment for our new generation, to start really provide them with the enthusiasm, with the right skills and tools, to start really reviving that process of critical thinking, imagination, symbolism,
Yeah.
the
So
things
the
that
English
made the
literature-
difference.
Right. English literature is derived from Quran, Bible, Holy Scriptures, but they have come a long way. Now they have refined the society in
No
such
question.
a perfect manner.
No
So
question.
are we having any parallel literature to English literature?
Unfortunately not. Not the recent one. There may be few works here and there, but has not reached the level to become part of the whole culture. You cannot really move significant steps unless you make it part of the whole culture. Give you an example. Do you think that the United States reached the moon by just creating NASA? That will not happen. The kid in kindergarten was filled with the enthusiasm to become an astronaut. It means that the idea permeated the whole culture. The culture brought these astronauts to the moon. Not NASA. NASA is definitely important, but not enough. Necessary, but not sufficient. You need to make it part of the whole culture.
Yeah. And it is strongly coming from literature. Stories,
No question.
where we
Yes. Unfortunately, I have been saying it all along. I wish we have these people who are really immersed, not only in the Arabic literature, in any type of literature, to help us to understand better Quran. Because today, we don't have just language, we have philosophy of language. Like the things that we just mentioned. This is really deeper than knowing that the language is composed of a noun and a verb and an object, subject, object, noun, verb. It's more than that. You see what I mean? Then we can go deeper even in the understanding of language to explore new ideas, especially when it comes to Quran. Yes, it is Arabic, but it is a Quranic Arabic. Very important. It's not only Arabic. Knowing the language alone is not enough. I need to understand the language of Quran, the concepts of Quran, and I will show you how. Because really, this is the beginning. Because the verse, read the next verse. Number 31. Sister Rabia.
وعلم آدم الأسماء
كلها. Just tell us about this first part. وعلم.
And he taught Adam the names of all things.
Very good. What does that really mean? Do you think that Adam has seen everything that was there and will come in the future? Or he was endowed with the ability to name things? And I really want you to see the power of the name or the noun. Why? As you can see, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responding also to the angels. You are telling me that this human being is going to spread mischief and corruption and bloodshed? I am telling you, no, I know more than what you know. And this is the way. The more we learn, the more we educate ourselves, we can move from that state of corruption, from that state of bloodshed, from that state of spreading mischief. So this type of knowledge that Quran is talking about is really a conceptual type of knowledge. Iqbal, rahimahullah, in commenting on this verse, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has endowed Adam, the human being, with the ability to name things. When you name things, you form concepts of them and you capture them. Like when the electron was discovered. Now I say electron, you know what I am talking about. But that name, it did not was thrown like this without a concept behind it. Today I tell you a chair. Without seeing a chair, you know, I may be talking about a chair in the living room, a chair in the dining room, but all of them, they may have different shapes and forms, but they have the same concept behind them. So you understood. So when you say chair as a noun or a name, there is a concept behind it.
Or color, or...
Yeah, I mean, but is the yellow the same for every one of us? But you know what is the concept behind the word yellow. Is that right? Because now we know that even seeing colors is very subjective. Is that right? So there is a concept behind it. And once you form a concept, you capture that thing. That is the ability, that what differentiated the human being from other living creatures. So let us take it one step at a time. Our human consciousness is not automatic, like what you see in other living creatures. We have like them, like animals, for example. We share with them the fact that we have the senses. And we receive these stimuli from the outside world, and we feel. We see, we hear, we feel something. So the same thing for they have this capacity of sensation. Okay? The next step is perception. You perceive this is something dangerous. The same thing. Animals know sometimes there's something like threatening them. Okay? But the human consciousness goes beyond sensation and perception, because we have reason to think. So we think, and by reason we are capable of doing this job of thinking. And we cannot think without a language. This is the beautiful thing, that you cannot think without a language. Anything that you think about, there is a language. You are talking to yourself without verbalizing, but you are talking a language. You are putting the idea in the form by using language. And today, if you analyze any language, this is not me saying it, these are the linguists, came to that conclusion that it boils down to nouns. Everything in language derived from nouns. Even propositions were derived. Verbs are derived from nouns. So علم آدم الأسماء كلها. It's as if Quran is telling us, this is really the universal, if you like, DNA of all languages. All they stem from al-asma, the nouns, the names. And the whole reality, this whole existence, everything in this existence also can be derived or brought down to names. This reality, all of it is but nouns. Asma. The second interesting thing about this type of knowledge, as Marshall Hudson, who was one of the brilliant philosophers of history at the University of Chicago, and unfortunately he died at a very young age, like 42 years old. But he said, and he is a Christian, and he said about himself, I am a convinced Christian. But he was taken by this verse, and he said, the knowledge that this verse is talking about is not only conceptual, but also rational. Why? Because every time you say, you give a name to this object, and you call it a chair, and you give another object another name, you call it table, you differentiated, you discriminated between these two things. And you need rationality to distinguish. This is what we say, this child reached the age of distinction, or the age of differentiation, has matured to differentiate between what is right, what is wrong. because now they became more reasonable, more rational. So the knowledge that this verse is talking about is conceptual and rational. And without, again, understanding this concept, we don't see then the value of language. And we said that before, that the West, the first time they translated Quran was in 1734 by George Sale, S-A-L-E. And this is very important landmark. And you will ask yourself, why Quran was translated in 1734, why not before? And I will say that in order to translate Quran into another language, it's not enough to know another language in addition to Arabic. You need to understand concepts. And 1734 tells you that Europe has, and the West has reached an intellectual level to understand concepts better than before. At that time, they were able to translate Quran. You see, the very important is the understanding of concepts. Otherwise, it will be read a book translated from one language to another. If the translator does not understand the idea of the original author or the philosophy of the original author, the translation is nonsense. Doesn't really give you, we say, so many things was lost in the translation. So you need to understand the concepts. So from the beginning, Quran is equipping us with, in order for you as a Khalifa to carry on the human project, you need knowledge. The same way Quran started with اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Make sense now to you? It's from the beginning. Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, this human being, I know more than you, to the angels. But there is a caveat here. Some historians have noticed that every time there is a new discovery, there will be conflicts and wars. And when I read this, I said, oh my God, now I understand these verses in Quran that talks about the same thing. And I couldn't really make sense of them until I read about this observation. Why that happens? Because like every time there is a new discovery, it will put certain people at an advantage. And so they feel powerful. And they try like really to subjugate another group. You see what I mean? So Quran is saying, وَمَا اخْتَلَفُوا. There was no conflict among them. They did not differ حَتَّى جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ, until knowledge came to them. I said, how come? They differ once they have knowledge, but Quran says why? بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. Back to injustice. They have knowledge, but if that knowledge and power is not really associated and connected with justice, it will be a reason for bloodshed and mischief.
Which verse is that?
There are really several places where you can see that. There is one, in fact, in Surah Al-Baqara. And after the session, I will find it for you. I will show you what is the number of that verse. وَمَا اخْتَلَفُوا إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُم. For the sake of injustice, they used as if Quran is saying they use that knowledge to inflict injustice on others. Instead of this knowledge to elevate us. Because when people were the same verse was saying, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. When they were the same, nothing was happening. Until someone saw that he or she or this group has one more advantage over the other. It is the same what we will see, the conflict between man and Satan. What was the problem? What did Satan say? أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ. I am better than him.
That's when it started.
It started. And later on, Quran will tell us the story of Ibnay Adam, the sons of Adam. In the common or the biblical literature, Abel and Cain. Quran will not use names, by the way. We'll call them Ibnay Adam because this can happen to anybody. And the same thing, the reason behind the conflict, that can you imagine someone killing his brother at a time which was very primitive? What level of knowledge they had at that time? What type of skills they had at that time? What tools they had at that time? Despite that, the human being was capable of committing the worst crime, which is murder. Which should give us really the message that today it's much easier. So we need to do more work to prevent something of that nature to happen. And we have seen it today. Somebody killing all his family, killing his mother. I mean, you cannot live with this idea. Just thinking about it between you and yourself, and you feel, you cannot, withstand it. But it is happening. What are we doing to prevent it? The argument is beside the
Gun control.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people are not. They are really like bringing. There is a problem at your hand. There is a big issue. What have you done to prevent something like that?
One of the recently, one of my co-workers' daughter was killed on the south side.
Killed?
Killed.
Oh my God.
You've probably seen it in the paper.
Oh, that girl?
Yeah, that was one of my.
Oh my God, the 15-year-old.
And then first thing is reaction I saw from certain people. Oh, the south side is so violent. That's the
No.
reaction I had.
Oh my
That
God.
was Obama's neighborhood, I heard.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
But you see that's the
that's
same problem.
exactly. We're trying to say this problem has to do with the area people are living in. It's not.
Yes.
So we saying we are
To
protecting
humanity.
what we
Oh,
live in.
humanity.
Just like as if it is not my problem.
Yeah, yeah.
You
it
see,
never happened
exonerating
here.
myself. Oh, thank God, it
Yeah.
didn't happen in my neighborhood. I'm fine. Okay, they are. The same thing. You see people on the street, these homeless people.
Yeah.
Oh, these people are lazy. They don't want to work. This is how they ended up. And they don't know anything about these people and about their histories
life.
and what conditions they are facing. And instead of saying, how can I be part of that problem? How can I be part in the solution? And see how we can provide these people with equal opportunities. Okay. But again, the problem is, the type of knowledge is separated and disconnected from the values. بغيا بينهم. I am better than him. And this the one who is worse than me has to go, and I will solve my problem. Solving the problem by finishing the other. Have you seen it really, working? Give me an example where that will work.
Also going back to the sister's question saying, how come we don't have a Khalifa at this time, or we haven't seen after the 4 caliphs? I'm thinking what you said, that we on an individual basis, we have to create that Khalifa
In
first.
us, exactly.
And that Khalifa means the Muttaqeen, the
Yes,
Salihin,
exactly.
the Khashiyin,
Exactly.
all those people we have to create in ourselves.
That's-
And another good thing I learned from now that between, if we compare the human being Adam with the Malaika, Adam al-Insan is the one who Allah has given the choice of good and bad and making a decision on himself or herself. So it is like if you want to make somebody a head of the department, first you give them the authority and then you give them the responsibility to do his or her job right. That's exactly Allah has done to us. He has given us the choice, and with keeping Quran as a guideline or whatever instructions we are given, follow those conditions and rules, we can create that Khilafat in ourselves. And if that happens, I think at the time when Khulafa were there, those were the kind of people, inside there were Khalifas.
Exactly.
Only then they created the Khalifa.
Exactly. In other words, if you want to see a change in the political arena, if you want to see change in the social area, if you want to see a change in education and healthcare and all, you need the human being. We need to create a different human being. And then we see that Khalifa and all these different, including the political institution. But the problem is we want to put somebody in that institution and knows nothing about what does it mean to be Khalifa. Just to give him that name, a president or whatever, okay? But they have not gone through the ranks, they have not learned all the ropes and the rules of the game, and then we expect them to do good jobs. And this is what is really happening today.
But you see these role models in the current society who are not Muslims, who have gone through the ranks, who are in a higher position, who are, I think, have attributes of a Khalifa,
Yes.
without believing in what we believe in.
Again, the idea is not putting badges
Right.
here and there and to differentiate among the Quran is saying this is the way to succeed.
But we
Whoever.
don't see it in our society. That's what I'm saying, in our Muslim society.
Yeah, so
which is what
exactly.
we are lacking.
Exactly, we are. It should really. We are more responsible
Yeah.
because we have it.
Every time I hear George Ryan is in the jail,
Yeah.
he will be released, it baffles my mind that a governor is in the jail or
Yeah.
somebody who committed a crime.
There's no
we
one
don't have-
above justice.
But this is justice.
Yes,
And you
justice,
don't
yeah.
see it in our part of the world.
No.
In Egypt and in
And so,
Pakistan.
in other words, who is closer to the name of Allah
Then they
Al-Adl?
are. Then they are.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I urge you, there is a new book about Jefferson. I will not tell you anything. Read it and you will enjoy it.
What's the name?
Jefferson.
Oh, just his
Thomas
autobiography.
Jefferson, it is not autobiography, it's biography by I forgot the name of the...
I can look at it.
Yeah, but it is a recent book. It is a big one, but it is very enjoyable, okay, to see the qualities. How these people worked on themselves and on their environment in order to reach that level. You cannot, solve issues at the level of the world today by the mediocre. Unfortunately, we have come part of the mediocre.
Isn't that true? He has added Quran to his life.
Yeah.
He was the one.
But again,
I'm just saying.
yeah, yes. But go and see. Nobody is like given a grade of 100 over 100.
Right.
Okay, but there is something that we can learn. Okay? There is something that we can really adopt. Okay? And it gives you also this this belief that it can be done because we have seen it. Okay? So if you and it can be done if we really see what are really the ingredients needed. And even in that verse, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested the angels. What are the names of these things? فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. They don't know. The angels don't know what are the names. قَالَ يَا آدَمُ أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. Adam was able to use language and tell the names of these different things. فَلَمَّا أَنْبَأَهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ غَيْبَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You see the rationality here? Because Adam was able to give each thing a different name. Okay, so that he was able to differentiate, to distinguish between things. أقول لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I know more than what you do, what you know. I know what you are saying, publicly, and what you are trying to hide privately. So let us believe in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala believe in us that we are capable of doing it, to reach that level of Khalifa. One of our problems is still we do not believe in the people. You will see when you read about Jefferson that he was one to believe in the people. He struggled all his life to emphasize that idea. And we need to be, there is no book that talks about An-Nas like Quran. It starts by the name of Allah and it ends with An-Nas. The people. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them all the ingredients to reach that essence, the essence of Khalifa. But instead of asking how we can reach, no, these people don't understand. We know better than them. Okay? Every time we go to Jum'ah prayer, we are all bad. Is that right? Don't you notice this? Every time you go to Jum'ah prayer, okay? We are all bad. We are not good.
Yep.
Who is good then? All these people who left their jobs, left their homes, brought their children to the masjid, and you're still telling them you are not good. Directly and indirectly, where is the belief in the people? So we need to change this. Yes?
Can I say something? From these ayah what we revealed, there is another interesting observation I want to share with. All this discussion between Allah and the Malaika, and right after that, there was no need for discussion. Allah could say, فَسَجَدُوا. But after all this discussion and make sure the Malaika know about, then he says, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. Now he is saying, do the sajda to Adam. So there is a reason that it tells us that we should always discuss, question, answers, make sure it is rational and understanding, each other, and then make a decision.
Even,
very
even,
good point.
even the angels ask.
Yeah, but this is good observation that the angels took the action after they understood all this. They see where is the value of this where that human being can reach. We need to believe in our perpetual project. You are not an object, you are not a subject, you are a perpetual project. And if there is another term for Khalifa than a perpetual project, tell me about it and I will adopt it right now. Yes?
So is it kind of, would you consider it violence or oppression to then in any way, shape, or form to engage with somebody in a way in which you're trying to subject them to, even if you think it's good for them or they know better, it's to subject them to a way of, like where you're prescribing things, not in a doctor kind of way, but where you're just like trying to subject them to your way of thinking about a scenario or situation or what they're going through. Is that?
I will say, I will ask.
I don't understand.
The question is really about subjugating other or oppressing or forcing someone or a group to, even if it is good for them. This is what you are saying.
But socially speaking, is it
Yeah.
oppression or violence to try to
Make it your point with force and violence?
trying to really, even though they keep wanting to see their way, trying to get them to start subject. That word caught my attention when you said subject other people.
No, I meant, this is the saying of Sartre saying about the human being that you are not an object, you are not a subject, but you are a perpetual project. It means that the human being is not static, but needs to move.
Wow.
But even if we take your question, I think the idea, even if you have a good idea and you want to force it on people.
You think it's a good idea?
The idea still may be good, but what type of human being you have created? Somebody who is really weak, that individual will use every type of deception to go around it. Even if it is like the teacher who is using force on his students. The students will be liars. The students will be use every type of cunning in order really to get around it. Okay? Because they are afraid of you. They are doing it because they are afraid of you. So Ibn Khaldun noticed this, and he said that this type of despotism can start in the classroom and end in the political institution. He made the same comparison. He said the same thing. The people, the society will become a very, low-level type of society or low-level human being. This is not, you are refuting your purpose. If you feel that you have good idea, just tell it. Let people see it. Bring an example before them. And usually people go with what is better. History has told us that the people, the masses, are always after the truth. They don't have agenda. You are not talking about interest groups. Interest groups are not the masses. The interest groups are after their interests. But the agenda of the masses is the truth. They are always after the truth. Thank you very much. Jazakumullahu khairan.